hello, everyone. I think that you know me or know of me. My name is Effie, and we are starting this series of Zooms on request from folks like you who are learning about co-living in a couple of different places, either in Sub 2 or in another mentorship, or just generally trying to find places that talk about co-living. So I agreed. I had originally hoped to go up the curve and then actually present and bring people in to present. And I mean going up the curve by proving concept and having my own place done. But it was pointed out to me it was a bit selfish that we can all learn going together. So I agreed. And what I've been doing is I've been asking people in my network to share what they have done so far. And it was we were doing these every 2 weeks, but the demand is here. I'm going to do them every Saturday at noon, and they will be recorded. So if you can't make it, you'll know where to go on my YouTube and you can watch it there. But 2 weeks ago, we had a fantastic presentation from Judd and Beth Hoffman. And I owe them such an apology because, like a moron, I passed over the abilities, the hosting abilities to them, and the recording stopped. So you only see the last Q&A part of that. And I am very sorry because it was such a great presentation. I will have them back at some point, but this Saturday we are meeting Jarrod. Jarrod, want to say hello?
Hello.
And Jarrod is going to walk us through his process so far as to where he is. And also, I'd like to make sure you guys know that next week we're having Jimmy on. And if you would like to show your project that you're working on, just connect with me and we can make that happen. I have asked for people to use kind of a PowerPoint presentation with as well as video, with the concept being that you should be able to get something out of this more than just sharing, which is wonderful. Sharing in itself is very, very big. But by going through this presentation yourself to a smaller group and having a Q&A afterwards, you will have the beginnings of what I think you should have, which is a pitch deck. So that when you have finished your project and you want to go to the second co-living property, you can actually go with something when you're raising funds. And Sam Wiegert offers his pitch deck template. But however, it doesn't have to be that. It can be your own. So that's the side benefit. And one last thing before we get going. I recognize that even though I'm posting a fair amount on my own Facebook and in these groups, people are saying, I missed the link. Where's the link? Oh my God, the link. And I'm like, okay, there's a better way. I have started an email roster. And what I'm going to recommend is I'm going to put this in the chat right now. If you want to be added to it so that you will get the link via email and you know that it's on Saturday at noon EST, then you can just check your email and there you go. So drop in the chat your name, email address, and phone number. I will be saving the chat and later I will develop a list. Are we good?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Please mute yourselves when you come in, or I'll mute you if I need to. But Jarrod, thank you very much for being here. Please take it away.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Effie.
My pleasure. Thank you for coming and sharing with us.
All right. So is this coming through okay? The little slide deck there?
Perfectly.
Oh, okay, cool. I need to move this. This is kind of in the way. Can you guys see the little bar at the top?
No.
Okay, good. Well, then I won't worry about it. Hello, everybody. I'm Jarrod Ochsenbein. I live in Oregon, but I'm investing in Arizona. I'm trying to do the focus thing, and so I landed on co-living. Like a lot of you, you probably had that shiny object syndrome, but I certainly did. But here's some information about me on the bottom right. Go to the next screen here. So I'm an IT guy. I was at Intel.
Oh man, this could really turbo boost our profit margin.
bear with
And the
me.
other one
Sure.
All right,
realize it
how am I gonna do
exists.
this?
It's listed for $295, but don't forget, there's other offers.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
That's okay. So I was at Intel for about 23 years and IT guy turned manager. Was doing great financially, all that stuff. But I live in Oregon, like I mentioned, and taxes. This is my why, Effie. So this is what got me here. Is what I'm trying to get at. Taxes were getting up there, and the more I made, the more they taxed. And so I just wanted to save some money on taxes. And I read a book called Tax Free Wealth, and that sent me down this rabbit hole. I actually wasn't looking to get into real estate, to be honest. I was looking to save some money on taxes, and then that book changed everything. So anyway, if you haven't read that book, it's for me, it's a must read. It when the last 5 months, everything changed since that book. So a little bit about me. I was born in Indianapolis, Indiana. Don't know much about it because I'm an Army brat and moved around a lot. Went to Greece, Arizona, and then Oregon. Then I joined the Army myself, went off to Germany, Bosnia, and had some fun there. Got back to Oregon, did the whole work, college, go through, 3-job kind of thing. Worked at a company, anodizing, which is an aluminum extrusion company, and there I was their IT guy. And when I started off there, I didn't know a thing about IT. I kind of sort of embellished a bit on my abilities and had to learn day one, and so I did. It's one of the things about me as a quick learner, so that's why I just jump into things sometimes like this. Then after that, I went on to Intel, was there for 23 years, and then here I am. Go to the next slide. So,
So if you, you should know you're not sharing your screen at this moment, which is
oh,
fine.
I'm
you know,
not.
because we have ears and you know,
Oh,
that's a good thing. But if you're, I just want to make you
still
aware.
sharing it. We see it.
oh, okay, because it says I'm sharing.
Oh,
I
it says
think-
you can see it? Why
Yeah.
can't
We
I?
see it.
Okay,
Okay.
don't worry. I'm not important to
Okay.
everybody else's.
So I was looking around to get into real estate after reading that book. And that's where I found Pace and started digging into it. And I started with Gator about 5 months ago. And that I figured would teach me at least a little bit about real estate because I didn't know anything about it. And as a Gator, you're in the lending. For those that don't know, that aren't sub two or Gator. And so I got to see both sides of the deal, the buyers, the sellers, and then make a few bucks along the way. So once Gator paid for itself, then I thought, all right, well, let's get Gator to pay for sub two. And then once I made enough of Gator to pay for sub two, I joined sub two. So I joined sub two about a month and a half ago. And never got it on the slide there, July 23rd of this year. And then I closed on my first co-living property in Glendale, Arizona, August 15th. So I don't know if that's fast or slow, but that's how fast I've been going. So I looked around, networked with people, and found Jeff Husa from the Phoenix RIA, and asked him who his contractor was, and he said, "Oh, I got the people for you." So that was great, and they're awesome. When have you ever heard this? A contractor that comes in on time and under budget or on budget. That to me was like music to my ears, and they did. They're awesome. So they'll be done tomorrow, or sorry, Tuesday. They'll be done. I'd added some things to the list, so they would have been done, but I'm the one slowing them down. So it's in Glendale, Arizona. It is a non-HOA, huge lot. There's a picture here if you guys can see it. I mean, it's just a massive lot. You can put 4 cars across the driveway, parking around the street. I've already talked to the neighbors. The only thing they care about is to get the swamp coolers off the top of the house because they are atrocious. And this house was built in 1971. But how I found it, let's go on to the next one here. So also through networking, if those of you knew Ellis Tran from Pad Split, Stephen Gomez is his realtor. And Stephen Gomez, if you're looking for a realtor in Arizona, this guy is amazing. He's also a co-living investor realtor. Not only that, he had a big brokerage. He had about 47 realtors working for him, and it got to be too much. And he sold the whole thing and he went into investing himself. So he does do realtor things on the side, but only for investors. So it's kind of a dream for me. And we looked around, we found one property, we tried to make it work, didn't, found another one, and then I backed out on it. So this was actually our third, which is really quick for those of you looking for houses. Usually you're in, well, at least anyway, about 10 houses, and then you may get one out of that. So this was my third, so it's relatively quick. I'm going to go through what the cost was and what it took to
How
get
did
there.
you know it would work for co-living?
So I got online, looked at the Zillow, did the Google Maps, read actually the Glendale City code word for word, and I didn't see anything in there about the number of. This is before I learned about Sam Wiegert, Effie. So and there was anything in there about number of members that had to be family members and all that. That's why Glendale, because it's non-HOA areas, older homes, but larger, right? Larger homes, larger spaces. So that's where, anyway, I started targeting and found this one. But um, okay, here's the breakdown. So the list price was 452. We did pay list price, but we've got about 11K in concessions on certain things. And by the way, this was an open door flip, more or less, right? So that does have granite countertops, granite dual vanities, and those sort of things. So some, your typical lipstick type, except that's a little bit more, I think, with granite countertops. So they did flip it. But I bought it anyway because the numbers worked. And so the reason I'm mentioning that, oh, go ahead. Oh, somebody have a question? No, okay. But here's the breakdown on the screen here. So we got 11K in seller credits because typically Open Door will not fix anything. They'll just give you credits. Well, because this was a VA loan, the VA wants things fixed before it closes. And so luckily Steven stepped in and was able to get them to do the required fixes, which I was surprised. I thought the roof, because the inspection showed the roof was going to need to have some things sort of filled in. There's it's a not latex, but one of those polymer type roofs. I'm saying that wrong. That's not what it is, but it's a roof that you roll, you put some stuff down. So I thought that was going to be an issue, and it turned out it wasn't, luckily. So there was some paint chips, and the termites is what well, there weren't termites. There was evidence of termites. So that's why I was a little bit stressed. But anyway, here's the breakdown: 42K down total, get the house, 26 for remodel, and then so all in cost was about 68K. And I've got a cost seg that's not part of this too, so cost segregation. So here's the layout of the house. If for those of you that like floor plans, I love it when people list floor plans on their pictures on Zillow and whatnot. So the items are the lines
Floor
in
plans are
red.
very important. It's
Yeah,
very
it's
important.
nice.
And you should definitely have them in your pitch deck when you're showing what you did so that the people who are going to be investing with you or could possibly invest with you will see the simplicity or the complicated aspect of it. So yeah,
Right.
this is very good. If you don't have it on the Zillow or whatever, just get it.
Right. I like boxy homes like this. So the items or the lines in red here are the walls that we added. And then there's the blue. I guess that doesn't contrast very well, but the blue is where we added a door to that wall. So originally just try to envision 0 lines. This was the living room, fireplace, formal dining room. And then here is what they call an Arizona room. So it's a covered porch, or if you're in Florida, it's a Florida room. So what we did was I came in with Steven since he's an investor, and we brainstormed this. And originally we were going to turn this brick. You know what? Let me turn my little. I guess I don't have the pen, but
What are you
can see.
looking for?
Can you see my mouse?
Yes.
Okay. So originally we were going to turn this breakfast nook into a room, but there were some issues with the vent and some other things and this door, and there wouldn't be an egress. And I wanted to take advantage of this space as well. So what we decided to do is just simply turn the Arizona room into 2 rooms. So this was a double door. This was a double door. We blew both of those out, put in a wall, exterior wall, insulated, and then put a interior wall here, door. And then the same thing with this. We walked in the front and we just walled this off and then walled in front of the fireplace. Now the fireplace, we closed the flute, decommissioned it, sealed it up, and then closed this off and then put a wall here. Now the problem is, for those that don't know, is you have to have 2 points of egress, one external, one door. So this was a solid wall. And so they blew out the wall and put a window here. And then there was a door here to the kitchen, but we walled that off. So now this is a
Nice.
bedroom and this is a bedroom.
So you basically added 4 bedrooms.
Yes, it was a 4-2. Now I know it's only 2 bathrooms, but we added 4 more bedrooms, and it's still, as of right now, still 2 bathrooms. Now I bought this as a primary residence, so I'm in Oregon right now, but I'll be back down there Wednesday. I'm living there, or going to be living there. I'm going to occupy one of these rooms here. And I will fly around and do some stuff, but just caveat there. So 7 rooms will be available for the first year. Then after that, I'll go to 8.
Are you planning to add bathrooms later? Do you worry about
I'm going to
that?
see how it goes. So this particular house has an atrium,
Yeah.
which is open.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that might be a potential bathroom, but it's going to be pretty costly. So we'll see. We'll
Okay.
see how it goes.
Caitlin is asking a question that makes sense to bring up now, since you had the
Sure.
floor plan up. And that is, did you have to add closets to the rooms, or did you use armoires, or what?
So I was going to do the I'm not going to say IKEA. I will be adding armoires or small closets to the one that don't. But the existing ones obviously already had closets. So.
Right. Okay.
Yep. So you wanted to talk about some of the challenges. So I've bought and sold my primary houses a lot, and it does a lot of paperwork, but nothing like I've seen lately. So when I went to close on this house, man, it was intense. Like the banks, at least in my case, were extremely picky. We went over everything like 3 times. So I don't know if anybody's bought a house recently, but even the HELOC I did was very intense. So if you're going to get a bank loan or do a HELOC, just be prepared for, a little bit more than what you've done in the past, at least for me anyway. And by the way, I have like 830 credit or something. So it wasn't like I had, horrible credit or anything like that. So I mentioned the roof already, the evidence of termites. That was kind of a big deal because they found that, and then they hired someone to fix it. And then the bank was like, wait a minute, we need proof. And so it's kind of a back and forth thing. So it was a little nerve-wracking, right? And the seller concessions was a almost deal breaker because like I said, the VA, they didn't want to do it without the fix. So luckily Steven stepped in and got that going. Anyway, the close date switched quite a few times too. Now, it was originally supposed to be August 9th, and everything was on track. And then we had some setbacks and this and that. So they pushed it to the 11th. Okay, great. And then they pushed it to the 14th. And then we actually recorded on the 15th. So I don't know if that's
Unusual. Not that unusual.
yeah,
actually.
I'm new, so like I said, I bought and sold primary residence, and everything's always coming on time. So for me, that's kind of a weird thing to stress about, but that was stressing me out. Like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And they got pushed and pushed, and I like to have things in order and squared away. And so anyway, little bit of stress there for me. So here's some of the breakdown. And I will mention something else that's not in the slide deck after this, but if anybody cares, here's kind of all the breakdown of the costs and this and that. So I'll pause here for a second if anybody wants to ask a question.
I know where you did this. I recognize Bigger Pockets calculator.
Yep. Hey man, it works
Yeah.
pretty good.
Oh, I know. I'm continuing my subscription to them just so that I can use some of this.
Right.
And you can also download your own logo.
Okay. Well,
So
I've got
do you
some
mind going
videos.
back to that for 1 second?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Jarrod?
Yeah.
So we're seeing that I'm looking at the numbers, and we're seeing that the monthly PI is 2552. Okay.
Right. That's
You're already
just
getting a pretty decent cash on cash. That's awesome.
yeah, but this here doesn't give the oh yeah, it does. I do have the repair costs. Yeah, 26 grand. Yeah. So I haven't actually received a dime from this house, so we'll see. We'll see what
Oh,
happens.
hold on, buddy. It's not even been, what, 1 month?
Yeah, it has been a month. But the
I
reason I
love
mentioned that
impatient people.
I am impatient. I am, but I deal with it.
It's
Well,
good.
the reason I've been talking to my tax accountant, and this is something for some people here that might be interested. So we are close to the end of the year, which is good. For my case, I quit my job August 15th and received a buyout. Well, I requested a buyout to leave, and they paid me. Well, because of that, I have quite a substantial tax burden to deal with this year. So I was trying to dig in a way to offset that. And you can do your real estate professional if you have 750 hours. Mathematically, it would work out to be about 640 hours for me. And then I was trying to dig into some stuff I've done in the past along this year to make that work. And I thought, you know what? I don't want the IRS to crawl into my business. And so there's another way. If you have a short-term rental, that qualifies, at least according to my accountant, that qualifies as it doesn't give you the real estate professional status, but you can write off your short-term rental costs. And so for me, that's why this cost seg is on the left-hand side here, cost segregation. As for me, if I run it as a short-term rental for the rest of the year, which I plan on doing, and then January 1st, flip it to the co-living, then I can write off the cost. So that's what I'm doing. It's not illegal. Matter of fact, if you know Mark Kohler from I think it's Main Street. He preaches this too. So anyway, FYI, that's what I'm going to be doing.
Gerald, you can also use your time spent like during your you bought into Gator and then you bought into Sub 2. You can use that time spent as well,
Right?
because it's part of the process. And you could count all those hours as well as your travel hours back and forth on purchasing this property. So
yeah, I get to 640 by the end of the year with all of that. So
gotcha. Okay.
Plus, I kind of figured if I'm an IRS person and I see somebody with a W-2 for most of the year with that amount of income, I'm going to look at that and go, no. And so I worked at a dealership as a young lad, and I was there when they got audited and when the IRS came in, and I don't want to have any part of that. Granted, that was a business and I'm an individual, but now this is a business, so very small, but I want to stay anywhere away from that. So this is another
that
way.
large payout will also make them very interested in you.
Yeah,
They'll be like,
it's going to
okay,
be.
where's our money?
Yeah, I
And
don't
you're
want
like,
to.
I don't want to give you money. They're
Exactly.
they're going to look into why. So
Yeah,
I agree
yeah.
with you. Stay cautious, and go from there for sure.
Right.
All
Yeah, I
right.
don't want anywhere near that. And I think Intel kind of taught me that. Intel's very much okay, here's the line in the sand, and then Intel will take about 5 paces back, draw a gray line, and they don't want to get anywhere near the gray line. And I'm in the same boat. I don't want to get anywhere near the gray line. So, and here's some videos. I don't know how this would work if I was to click on these, but I put them in the presentation if somebody wanted to look at these. Or Effie, do you want me to show one of these?
Why don't you, you have a walkthrough. Yes. Show us
I'm gonna
what you
try it.
got.
Okay.
Yep.
So these are the walkthrough videos of before and after. Here's the before video, and I could do like a 15-second thing or run the whole thing. What do you want to do if you just hit it?
Let's try it. Yeah.
Okay, let's
This
see what
group is
happens.
patient. We're all learning together.
Right. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Should I mute the?
That's
Can
up
you
to
hear
you.
the? Can you hear the audio?
A little bit. I would mute
Okay.
it and just talk over it myself.
Okay, that works. Yeah. So here's the atrium when you walk in. So this is this is outside. I actually like this. I think it's cool. But potentially we could put a bathroom. That right to the left here is a bathroom. So we could take this tree out. I'm not sure how we would do some of this, but we could make a bathroom in this atrium if the 2 bathrooms proves to be not so great. So off to the left, you can see the bathroom. I'll pan to the right here in just a second. Hopefully, there we go. Oh yeah, so you can see upstairs. That's outdoors. I'll pause it for a second. When I was on Google Maps and Google Earth and I was looking, there was a tree in the middle of the roof. And I'm like, oh, that's a glitch. That's a Google, thing or whatever. No, I get there and there's a friggin' tree in the middle of the house.
They were very popular in the 70s,
Yeah.
along
there's
with
a
the
tree.
green fridges and such.
So here's the fireplace in the living room, and then over here is the dining room. So that's my realtor, that's Stephen Gomez. So that turned into a room. Here's the kitchen. I can switch over to the after because you can see the Arizona room there, or speed this up actually. Here, let me just speed this up. I feel like this is just kind of, yeah, let's just speed this up. Big garage, there's RV parking, big shed in the back. There's the Arizona room. Here's the breakfast nook area. There's one of the rooms, Arizona rooms. There's the other one. Well, it's just a patio. And this just walks through the before rooms, just normal rooms. So I can go ahead and pause this. And oh, it did come with washer and dryer, so that's nice. And the refrigerator. I have to get another one. But here, let's go back to the presentation. And then here's the. So before I do this, let me preface this real quick. So I had, like I said, a network with Jeff Husa. That guy's awesome. The Phoenix RIA guy. He's also sub 2. The guy's amazing. Just a really good guy. Networked with him, found his contractor, West Side Services, John and Tammy. They are fabulous, by the way. If you're in the Arizona market for any construction, they're just great. So I'd called them, they'd set it up, they came out. I wasn't there. I had the keys. I had my realtor change the code so I could give them the key to get in the house. Got in the house, did this all remote, by the way. Gave him the floor plan, told him what I wanted to do. John had some suggestions and I actually went with him, including the Arizona room. He wanted to do it a little different way and I agreed. So we agreed on a price. I told him go for it. He did. 5 days later, I flew out there and he said, yeah, we'll be doing demo. I get there and this is what I walk into. I was expecting demo, by the way, and here's what I walked into. The walls are up. They've They've not only framed them, but sheetrocked them. Like this is like 4 or 5 days in. Like these guys do not mess around, man. I was thoroughly impressed because this is like a Wednesday night. They didn't really know. They knew I was coming, but they didn't know exactly when. I told them, hey, I'm coming in, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and that's another thing. So this is, I know I'm propping them up, but I couldn't believe it. I get there and there's an air mattress with a pump. There's drinks, snacks, and food in the house. Because remember, there's nothing there. This is an empty house.
Was that for them or were they thinking of you?
It was for me. Like
Ah,
John said,
sweet.
I was like, are you kidding me, man? And that's just how they operate. They are 110% all the time. So I know I'm propping them up quite a bit, but I can't believe it. I mean, who does that, right? So anyway, so I get there. That John's a very go kind of guy. And by the way, I don't. They're not asking me to say this. I'm just telling you. I had heard all the horror stories, and I'm brand new in real estate. And then I find this guy. I'm ruined for the rest of my life on contractors and realtors. So I'm knocking on wood, but I got really lucky. That's all I got to say. So there's the wall where they patched it in because it used to be a walkthrough. Right there, there's going to be a window that's going to get blown out. It's probably done by now because you have to have 2 points of egress. There's the Arizona room with the split. So I wanted it more towards the middle, but John, I forget why, but there was a reason for it. The reason we did it just a little, oh, the door, that's what it was. We had to obviously do it offset so the door would work. So there was a kitchen window there that got walled off. It's not here now, but on that back wall, there's an AC unit. Just so happens, see in that corner at the top there.
Yep.
This is where I haven't seen it yet, but this is a vent for the old swamp coolers. And so this actually now has one of those window units in it. So this will have its independent AC here, because remember, this was an Arizona room. And then the other side already had a mini split, brand new. It was a year old. And you'll see it here in a second, right there at the top. Yeah, so this one already had a mini split.
Great.
Yeah. We put fans in all the rooms. I forget the something bay fans. The thinking there was nice touch, but also a light. And then also I was hoping, we'll see, because it's Arizona, that it would help, circulate, and maybe the AC, it would keep up, in other words, another way to cool off. So, and the
And give
rest
them
of this,
control too, right? Are they controlled by the room?
yeah, there's a little, and also we did the LED lights, so you can change some people like the bright, some people like the medium, some people like, just whatever their preference is. Doesn't have RGB, it's just different shades of white, I guess, or light, or whatever you want to call it. So the rest of this is just me walking through the house. So probably don't have to go too far into that. And I have that all on my YouTube channel. And then the last one is, let's just see what we got here. I forget myself. Oh, an advertisement. There we go. Sorry, let's get rid
You
of
should be
this.
getting paid for this.
Right. So here's a little bit of the after. Oh yeah, so these door locks, I did spend about $1,400 in locks, and the reason I did that is I got the security. I could have went down to Home Depot or what have you and bought some locks, but I had a locksmith come out, and I wanted the same key for all locks. Now, when I say all locks, I mean all the exterior doors, interior garage doors, and the interior storage doors. That way, I just had one key. I don't know if it's good or bad, but that's what I wanted. So guy came out, did all the higher end security locks. They were like $189 a piece. And the reason it was so expensive is because I did the deadbolt, and the bottom on all the exterior. Hampton Bay, that's the name of the fan. There you go, on the ground. So I don't know if you saw that. Let me go back a little bit. This is one of the rooms. This was the dining room. Oh, whoops, I went back too far. Here we go. So you can see the hallways are now, what do you call that? Textured and painted. And then there's the fan. Oh no, that's not the fan. That's the old fan. Never mind. That fan's coming out. We're getting rid of that because it's atrocious. But we're putting in the Hampton Bay fans. But you can see how the walls are there. And hopefully I turned to the left here. I don't remember.
So Jared, just a little
yeah.
comment from the side, and I think it's
Sure.
worth it. Why don't you enlarge your screen so it takes up the entire space? There you
Sure.
go.
Okay. Oh, you can see these are the door locks I went with. They're Sifely. A couple of the other, so I networked with some of the other, they're doing pad split, but co-living house folks. And this is what they're using. These are Sifely door locks. They were $79 off Amazon. And I ordered the hub for it so you can control the locks on your Wi-Fi. At the time, my internet wasn't hooked up. It is now. And so these locks are interesting. They have a thumbprint, they have a digital code, they have a key fob, and they also have a physical key lock or physical key. So I like that. They're not tied into Smart Things. If you guys are Smart Things folks, or any of the what do you call it, like the Google Home things, but it does have a hub, so you can control it remotely, and that was what was important to me. All right, so I think I can stop here, Effie. You can just, it's still dirty. I haven't cleaned it up yet, but and here's some of the bathrooms. Oh yeah, and there was some pocket doors that I didn't want. I know that some people say, oh yeah, you can just put little latches on that. That was just too kludgy for me, so I just had them blow out all the pocket doors, put in real doors so I can use my key locks, the Cypher key locks. So okay, well I think we don't need to go through this whole video. If you want to watch these videos, the links are in this presentation, and I'm assuming maybe this will go out to everybody, Effie, I'm not sure. So I'm going to plug myself real quick here. I am a visionary, and I am looking for an integrator type person that's interested in co-living. I have capital, I have time because I quit my job, but I don't have the knowledge, and I'm learning as I go. So if somebody wants to take a ride with me, hit me up, and we'll see if we can maybe do something together. I am looking for my next house, by the way. Actually, my wife is. My wife is on board now, and she's she was on board in the beginning, but obviously this is fairly drastic, quitting a pretty well-paying job and selling all your stuff. And so about that though, I didn't have any bills. I have other than my mortgage, that was it. I didn't have any debt, and I had all these what Robert Kiyosaki calls liabilities. And so I sold all my liabilities and took all that money and put it into real estate. And then the buyout, obviously, I'm putting in real estate. So I am looking for my next house in Glendale or Maricopa County areas. That type of this type of house. So
Yeah. Well,
we
I think
found
I
one, but
mentioned to you that I would love to do something with you. I
sure,
think that would
yeah,
be fun
I mean,
for sure.
yeah.
All right. So that was
that's
very
that.
good. Do you want to stop share?
Yep.
There
Stop.
we go. Wow. I really like that. I thought that was great. And it's an example of how you can put things together. Different people use different things. I think Beth and Judd had used some charts a bit differently, but it doesn't make it your own thing.
Yeah.
And I would say the only thing that was really missing per se is a brand, to come out with some kind of a branding for yourself. But you've
Oh,
got time. I mean, this is just,
yeah.
the beginning on every page, so that they kind of understand I'm going for like a business concept, not just an individual. But I loved it. What did you
Yeah.
guys think? As Chat would say, put a 1 if you love it, and if you don't, get out. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Because this is your chance to, I'm glad I'm seeing a hand already, which is great. This is a chance for you to ask questions, and that will help Jarrod to understand, did he miss something? What sort of things are people interested in that, and we're here to help each other. So we've got a couple already. Let's go. So, Judd, do you want to hop in? Yeah.
Hi, Jarrod. That was awesome. Beth and I are in the same office, and her audio works. So, what are your? I would love to hear next steps about, like, what are your plans to market and fill the room? You're going to self-manage, I assume, and what does that look like? And then what do you need help with for the next steps?
Yeah, so next steps, I'm flying down on Tuesday night, and I'm going to be there for probably about a month. But I mentioned it earlier, I'm going to do the short-term rental. So that's going to be interesting because that was not in the plans. I'm doing that for tax reasons. So I won't be going online live for the co-living until January 1. But I'm planning on using Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. And the reason why I say that is I haven't ran any of the test ads that Sam Wiegert has mentioned, if you guys are attending any of his trainings. And the reason why is I've got two now friends, both realtors, by the way, and Steven's one of them, that are in Glendale, a couple blocks from me. And they've done this, and within a 48-hour period, they got about 75 potential. So there's definitely demand in the area. So the marketing plan is to just use Facebook, not even paid ads, just Facebook and Craigslist, and see how that goes. And then your other question was, what was the other portion of that question?
I think it was how you were going to fill it. I think
That
you've
was it,
answered
yeah.
it. Did you miss anything, Beth?
So
No, that's correct. How are you gonna fill it?
Yeah, but for the short term, that's a new plan, and that one I'm probably going to wing it. Maybe I'll do the same thing with Facebook, or maybe I'll jump on the Airbnbs. Now, this is not set up for Airbnb, so that'll be interesting. Yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. So that's a little curveball at myself. I threw that on myself.
One more question with that short term, are you able to, with the cost segregation, are you able to do short term as far as traveling nurses? So 3-month leases, would that work, or it has to be Airbnb?
No, the legal, what I was told anyway, I'm not a lawyer, not a CPA, any of that, but the average of the stays has to be less than 7. So you could have someone stay there for 10 as long as you had somebody else that stayed for like 1 night. So it's 7 days, but it's the average of that is what I was told. So I'm just going to stick with, excuse me. I'm just going to stick with, 7 days or less. And, worst case scenario, I've got family there. So I'm like, hey, why don't you stay here for a couple nights and check it out,
Yep. All right. Thank you, Beth, and thank you, Judd. Manya.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Jarrod, and thanks, Effie, for hosting. And Jarrod, I'm a fellow Oregonian, not too far from you in Central
Oh.
Oregon and Bend. Yeah.
Cool.
So really good to see you represent and also investing remotely. I'm a big proponent of failing forward. So it sounds like you had a lot of things go right? You had an amazing realtor that you built a relationship with, incredible, contracting.
Yeah.
Is there anything that like you stumbled on that you didn't see coming, or that you're just learning along the way? Because I know like when Effie first started this, like we're learning together, right? And so
Right.
how can we share our learnings,
Yeah, I did that on purpose. I mean, I know a lot of people say I got lucky, and I did, but I did a lot of networking to get there. All the people that I worked with, the realtor, the contract, all that was all because of referrals, right? I wanted to work and referrals for people that I felt like I could trust. So yeah, I got lucky, but a little of that was a little legwork. But speaking of things that I didn't know about was grading. So this is in Arizona, so it doesn't rain a lot, but the grading on the house was another thing. There was a lot of dirt that was coming towards the house, and so we needed to get that fixed as well. And Open Door wasn't good with that, but John, the contractor guy, he helped me with that. And he's the kind of guy that I'll just say this too. When the internet guy showed up, he's like, "Oh, we can't do this." So I was calling back and forth because I needed to get internet up and running. And they said they had to trench, and my neighbor is very proud of his yard. He spends $250 a month on grass. And so they said they were going to have to trench. And I was like, no, you're not doing that. You have to dig a hole and dig under. Anyway, another guy, I just gave up on those guys and called somebody else. They came out. They did it another way, but getting into the house was a problem. So John overheard this, the contractor. He grabs his drill and a bic and he's, I got this. Boom. And he blows a hole in the wall. And then he blows a hole in the wall. And he goes, there you go, run it that way. I mean, the guy's just, go, go, go. But you're right. I did get really lucky, and I'm happy about that. But there were a few things like the termites was a shock, and that was a back and forth. So nothing major. No, I mean, I'm happy to say it, but I know it's coming, but nothing.
Yeah,
nothing
he'll
too
take his
crazy.
lickings when they come.
Right.
But Jarrod is also the sort of person that isn't making a mountain from a molehill. He's just like, go. And
Yeah.
I think that makes a big difference, because some people will like, oh my God, there's a molehill. I think it's a mountain. And they'll stop. Whereas Jarrod's, how quickly can we do this? Let's go. So he's had good fortune, but he's also running, which is one of the things that Sam had talked about, getting it up and going in a month. Now he's done a little bit of an about turn on whether it's going to be co-living or short term for his tax reasons, and that will benefit him because it is going to benefit him for taxes. But next year will be a different story. I'd love to have you back in a year from now and see what that net turned out to be and how it's all gone.
I should be about 5 or 6 houses by then.
Yeah. But I mean, on this particular property, it'd be nice to see
Yeah.
what are you netting? What kind of clientele did you, hone in on and be on that other side?
If you want me to touch on that, I can. That particular area, I know a lot of people run away from the college students, but for me, with a house with only 2 bathrooms in it, someone that's maybe a little bit more established, that might not work. So I'm not opposed to having post grad or maybe 4th year undergrad or something like that. come live in the house. And there's five, well, there's more than five, but there's five major colleges within 10 minutes of this house. And the biggest or the most lucrative, or I shouldn't say lucrative, Grand Canyon University is there. It's a for-profit Christian school. It's huge, and it's just to the south of the house. There's ASU West is there. There's only about 7,500 students there, but then there's also Glendale Community College, and then a few others, and then there's a bunch of colleges around there. So, anyway,
Cool.
FYI.
Okay, let's go to Shannon. Hi, Shannon.
Hi there. Hey, Jared, we met. I'm in Portland, well, actually Vancouver. I was at the sub 2 meeting with Brad. I was the one that was purchasing that sub 2 property from
Oh, yeah.
Devon.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Congrats, by the way.
Yeah. Super stoked about that.
So I'm going to
but hey,
interrupt you. Wait, Shannon, I'm going to interrupt you and
Sure.
say, I'd love to see you.
Yeah, not happening right now. I'm in the middle. I was cleaning house and I decided to just hop on here, but that's what I look like.
Okay, no worries.
What was I saying? Oh, I wanted to say, Jared, so I am a short-term rental owner operator. I'm happy to chat with you about that, especially how you're utilizing the short-term rental loophole to lower your tax liability for this year.
Yeah,
I'm doing the same thing actually.
nice.
I feel I'm not a CPA, but I've read so much IRS tax code. I'm like the most CPA, non-CPA out there, I feel.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely happy to chat with you about that and how you can use that space and so that you make sure that you're covered as far as that loophole goes and tracking your hours. You know, you can't have anyone else contribute more hours than you.
Right.
You have to hit at least 100 hours of yourself that you need to be documenting and all that.
They say 100, but it's feasible with 50. But I've already hit the 100, and I plan on hitting 100. But
yeah, just make sure you've got that all documented, and then you also need to document how many hours others are spending, like your contractor, for instance, and make sure that you have more hours than anyone else.
right.
Are
Hey, I
those
would
keys?
love to get your contact information if I could.
Yeah,
get that.
we've connected on Facebook before. So
Oh,
I actually
okay.
just sent you a message a few minutes ago on Facebook.
Okay, thank you.
My kids played soccer too. We had a soccer conversation.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Talked a lot.
Yeah, no, it's been a while. It's been a while. So yeah, it's awesome. I love to see watch what you're doing. It's
Yeah, in
incredible.
the last 5 months, my life has completely changed because I read a book.
Oh,
Don't do that.
dude,
Be careful what you read.
Yeah, don't.
Oh,
yeah, be
been there,
careful.
done that.
Yeah.
Same thing happened with me. So, and I've read that book you read. It's an incredible book.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Shannon, thank you very much. That is exactly what I was hoping would be happening in some of these Zooms, is that we're stepping up to give each other some advice and help wherever our strengths are. So, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. I have one question, Jared. I'm curious about if you're going to do short term, then you're going to furnish it. Is that correct?
I'll furnish a few of the rooms. I have a question into the CPA. I'm actually trying to see if I'm pretty sure the answer is no, but I'm going to see if I can have, say, 4 of the rooms as short term and the rest is co-living. But, given the flow of the tax code, I think that's going to be a nil, but we'll see, or no go. But I'm going to ask, see if I can do it. Because if I can, I would do that. But that might be a little strange having short-term people in a house with co-living. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. But initially it's to serve a tax purpose, not the cohesiveness that we're looking for in a co-living home. So, initially, it is what it is. But when you get to co-living, are you intending to furnish the bedrooms? Some people do. I know like Pad Split does, and Sam says, let them bring their own stuff. What's your take on that?
So I have to thank you because prior to running into you, Effie, and talking to you, I didn't know who Sam Wiegert was, and I've been attending his thing. So he actually changed my mind. I was planning on furnishing all the rooms and sort of modeling the pad split and going that route. But now I may furnish like 1 or 2 or maybe 3 of them, but largely I want to leave them open. And the reason I say that also is not because of Sam. It's also because of the 2 people that are in my neighborhood in Glendale, like a few blocks away. They're using pad split. They're doing all the marketing and the gathering of tenants or members, sorry. But they did their own marketing just to see what was out there. And that's how I know they had 75 people. But they told me half of those wanted to bring their own stuff and they told them no. So I'm like, wow. there's a demand for that as well. And this wasn't even Sam. So I get it. Sam is doing the year-long leases and whatnot. And I plan on doing maybe a 6 or year option to see, because I looked in the areas on roomies and all that, and most of them are 6 months. They're looking at that. So I kind of want to go with the flow and then maybe see how it goes and change it. But yeah, to answer your question, sort of a couple
hear
and
you.
then no. Yeah. But there was another piece that one of the contractors that was at the house was talking to me about. He's a young kid and he worked for John. And he goes, the other piece that you're not thinking about is the logistics of it. Like if you furnish it, it's easy for me to leave. I don't know if Sam talked about this, but
Yes,
he
he
goes, if I
does.
bring my own, oh, he does. Okay.
Yeah.
So then if you bring your own stuff, then you got to figure out how to move all that stuff. So I don't want to hold anybody hostage. Matter of fact, if I do the year lease, I was planning on having a 30-day clause in there. If I can do this, I have to work with the lawyers, I guess, and say, hey, if you come in, you don't like it, no problem. We'll just call it good, or whatever, and then do it
nice.
that way. Because, it was probably going to be new for somebody and not have a roommate. They may not like it. I want them to be happy, right?
You're great. You're right. Yeah. The concept he talks about is that when you're bringing your own things in, your room is yours. Like it's the way you want it. And people think twice about moving out when they have their own stuff, and what about the walls? They're going to ding the walls. Well, you charge them if they ding the walls. You charge them and you let them know. But I do like the idea of the 12-month lease myself. And community. So it depends on what you're doing. And it's interesting because you're needing to learn the market you're in. And it can be very different than, let's say, Dallas or Charlotte or whatever. So I think that it makes a big difference to examine that and go with what's going on in your area.
Yeah.
For sure. Beth.
Hi. I'm so excited for you, Jarrod. You just went with this and you're making it happen. It's really fun watching. So going off of what Effie just said, that's exactly what we did. So we started with let's say 5 that were furnished, or no, 2 furnished and 5 unfurnished. And then we learned over the past 6 months what the community needed. And so that'll be fun to see really what you end up doing. Because I think every county, every state, every house is going to be very unique as far as what the need is. But you'll figure it out, and then it'll be because you want the least turnover. And so there's a little bit more turnover with those 3-month leases or those short-term leases. So we found when you tour people, you always start with a 12-month lease, and then you say, and this room is available for $800 for a 1-year lease. However, for $850, you could do a 6-month lease, or for $900, you can do a 3-month lease. And a lot of people say, gosh, I'm not quite sure I'm sold on wanting to do this for a year. So I'm going to do it for 6 months or 3 months. And you almost always get somebody to buy up to that next rate. And then they stay anyways, because now it's their home. They figured it out. And then we are not making them sign another lease, something that Sam had suggested, going once a month after that, because you've already bought them. This is their home at that time, and you'll keep them longer most likely when they don't have something up against the wall going, you have to get out of here, or you have to sign a lease in this amount of time. So that's what's been working for us. I'm excited to see what works for you guys as you go forward.
Yeah,
So
me too.
Yeah, really. Beth, at the end of 3 months, they're paying, let's say, $900 to test it because they want to be sure, and that's well worth it. At the end of 3 months, if they say, okay, I'm going to stay, you don't put them on a year lease, you keep them month to month. So what are they paying? Are they paying $900, or do they go down to $800, or what do they do?
They stay at the price that they, yep. And
For the luxury of moving out when they wish.
Exactly. So they'll stay at that. And that's how we've been able to raise prices pretty quickly. And
New York State, we want to keep them.
What's that, Judd?
We want to keep them month to month because of New York State's requirements.
Yeah, New York State, we're in New York State, so just the requirements are a little bit different with that, but our goal is to have people long-term. Our vacancy rate has been almost 0, because just as another thing to think about, as you have people approaching a lease coming out, we start marketing at that point. We start marketing 2 to 3 months ahead of time, just to start getting a pool of people, and then we make them give us a decision a month prior. But that's how, you know, Sam had mentioned at one point a wait list, and we're like, a wait list, because you can get a lot of people, but then as you go through them, most of them you don't want living at your home, or they don't understand the concept. And once you give them that video of it or have them walk through, oh, I didn't know that this is what it was. So you wean out a lot of people real quick. But start getting that wait list, because there will be people that do understand the concept and want it. And then you'll be ready. They find housing, obviously, if you're too far out, they do find housing, but you can always reach out to them, and they may know a friend that wants it when the time comes.
For those that don't know, the video that Beth was referring to, Sam gave some training, and has a video, like a little 2-minute video of what co-living is, and that will help filter or weed out, or whatever you want to call it, for people that are just calling to find out what it is. So he's got a nice little video. I plan on doing one as well, where it explains what it is, how that particular operation works. So that way you're not bombarded with questions. You just have a 2-minute video that they can go watch whenever. I like that idea. It's a good one.
Yeah, it is. Hi,
Hey,
Jimmy.
Effie, real
Hey, hey.
quick, how do I raise my hand?
Sorry about that. Oh, you go
Yeah,
down to
sorry.
the bottom where it says reactions. Where it says you know where it says and, don't press that. You'll be gone unless you want to go. But along there's a button that says reactions. And then if you click on that reactions, it gives you a chance to raise your hand.
Yeah, it's not allowing me to do that. I've been trying that for the.
Oh, okay. Don't worry about it.
You can just
we
hold
let-
your hand up.
Yeah, yeah. I do that all the time. Let's let Jimmy go now, and then we'll come to you. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay, Jimmy.
Alrighty, perfect. I got a super noob question that seems like you guys are all familiar with, but I'm not. So maybe you guys can educate me on this. I'm super brand new to midterm and co-living. I'm working on my first one, but I was doing everything under the guise of Passplit. And you guys, I'm not opposed to self-managing. I own Airbnbs and we self-manage everything. I would almost prefer it. I'm just not used to dealing with tenants, period. Long-term, short-term, like Airbnb handles all that for me, right? So I have no experience in that, but I would love to keep the extra 15% that Passplit is going to keep. So I don't even know what my question is, but what should I be asking about just self-managing and just running it on my own? The concept of not even having to furnish is like slapping me in the face right now. So you guys are just bombarding me with valuable information.
Jimmy, me too. I was planning on furnishing it, and then it's a cost savings to me. So I was like, oh, that's a no-brainer. And the benefit, and for once in my life, I'm going to actually listen to people that have done. I'm very, I usually go my own way with everything I do, but I had to get out of my own way and listen to people, and it's working. And I'm like, oh my gosh, duh! You listen to people who've done this before, and it works. You know, I have to get out of my own way. But yeah, me too. Like I'm learning as we go. The non-furnishing thing is interesting. It saves money, and people stay longer. I'm like, what? Double win there. So yeah, I don't know if you had a question in there, but
Well, I think I heard his question. He's like, how do I self-manage? What is involved? Can I do it? Because I'm not really crazy about tenants. And, you know, like in that 5-day challenge that Sam had, he definitely covers a fair amount, but he covers a whole lot more in the mentorship. And yeah, Jimmy, there are ways to minimize the problems and maximize the good experience. So, you know, maybe that's one thing we could talk about on one of these Zooms, because we do have people who have got individuals in their homes already. There's Jason who's on holiday right now. Beth, there's a bunch of people. I can bring people together to talk specifically about that if you wish. And I can tell you the little that I've learned already off camera, but you're using a number of different tricks and procedures to make sure that it's kept to a minimum. And the ideal is to have more than a couple of these properties in the same area so that you can also develop your own management company, you know, so that you don't have to be the face. And you, and once you have like 3, 4, 5 places, you've got enough places to get a little management company, going, and they do the management, and you're out of the business. Because as Pace says, we want not to be in our business. We want to be out of the business and work on it instead. But yeah, it's totally doable.
And Jimmy, what I'm doing too, I picked this up from the Bigger Pockets rookie or the rookie real estate rookie thing. I'm building into for the next house, if I do have a partner or somebody, I'm building into the property management cost, and hopefully that'll be split. And then at some point, and I'll self-manage, but at some point I want to walk away from that and have a property manager do it, and that way it's already built into the budget.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Whether you manage it or whether Pad Split or one of the other ones, because there's more than just Pad Split that manages, you have that cost built in for sure. Does that give you a little bit, Jimmy?
Yeah, no, it definitely gives me the confidence that it's not only possible, but people do it day in and day out. And I am even more, what's the word? Excited of exploring that part. The furnishing is a big one. I think not only, like you said, right, the cost savings, but just the fact that they'll feel like it's more their own place. And it will probably open up the pool to, I like the I forgot who mentioned it, but having both, I think it was Beth. Just having a couple units that are furnished for whoever needs that, and then having a couple that are wide open for whatever you want to put in there. I love that. It's just
We're
the
still
more the merrier, right?
furnishing the common areas.
Right.
And you set the standard in the common areas, because
Okay.
if you have cheap Walmart furniture, a little stick table and chairs, that are going to fall apart because they're cheap, really cheap, then, people will kind of feel like that's what the value of the home is. But, if you take a little bit of time to actually reflect on design and, setting up little nooks and things like that, people realize it. So that part of it has a lot of value to think on it. Furthermore, you don't have to buy the furniture if you are going to put in a couple of rooms, you can furnish the rooms for them. Like you give them the option. It's empty. This is what it costs. You want furniture? This is the kind of furniture we supply, and you rent it from us at whatever. Let's say it costs you $25 a month to rent this thing, whatever. You charge them $35. And then when they leave, you either buy the furniture and rent it to them, or you have a furniture company that makes it available to you for a cost that you pass on to them. So you don't necessarily, you can use the furniture as a way for making money. The common areas you should use to establish the thought of what it is that you're doing in that home. And you can have no furniture at all.
I have a list also, Effie, that's been aggregated from several different people, and I've even tested it out myself. So I bought a one bed frame and one bed, and I slept in it for a week. And this is like a $200 mattress and $100 or $110 box frame, and it's good. And I slept on it, and I'm kind of not a bed snob, but we have a really nice bed. So for me to sleep in and be okay, it's okay. So FYI, if anybody wants that list, I have a breakdown somewhere. I can send it to you.
That's great. That's great. Don't forget to drop your name, email, and phone number if you want to be emailed, because soon I'm going to just be well, I'll always announce it, but through email, if you know it's going to come to you by Friday night, then you can just say, I don't have to look for it on Facebook or on Effie's YouTube to catch it. Instead, you can just check your email and know that it's coming, who is presenting. And sometimes we may have to change the time a little bit if the guest needs it to be changed. But generally it'll be 12 EST. Kevin.
Thanks, Effie. I've got several questions here. Are you guys using leases or the memberships that Sam talked about?
Memberships.
You got it. So with that in mind, all these folks here that are giving all this wisdom here, are you involved in Sam's program? I know Effie, you are.
I am not. I'm working with a guy named Kevin. He's actually out of New York too. New York. And he has a membership agreement that I'm going to have. My brother just happens to be a contract lawyer. But he derived that from Pad Split, which was actually my plan. I was going to go to Pad Split's website, grab their type of stuff, and then have my brother look at it, and then have a lawyer actually do it. So
So
And I don't
the
have the
guy you're
membership
working
yet.
with, Kevin, is a lawyer?
No, he's just another co-living person. He was also Jimmy, an Airbnb guy converted to co-living.
Mm.
So he did that about 6 months ago, and I don't have his name readily available, but I met him actually through Sam Wiegert's chat, Effie, last week.
He doesn't have a mentorship, does he?
No, he just attended the one or two of the sessions by Sam.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
We were networking and talked for
Yeah.
quite a bit on the phone. Good guy.
Yep. Great, great. So, Kevin, some of the people here are from sub 2. I would say a fair number of people are from sub 2.
So you're the only one in the group here that's in Sam's program?
No. Beth and Judd are, and I'm not, Manya, are you going to join?
Very possibly so, yes.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to, I'm just wondering who's in, I don't know. But there have been, I don't know, maybe Lance, and there have been some people like Nina.
Diane joined.
Diane, okay, and Nina. So some
Nina
are
joined, yeah.
okay. So for me, I'm looking to bring this to sub 2. That's what I told Pace. I'm going to bring it into sub 2 once I've learned it, and that I'm paying through the nose to do it. But then I realized, wait, there are Gator people, and there are some people that have just come to me from Facebook, like, and YouTube, and people are starting to search co-living. So I'm coming up, and they're just coming. So that's one of the reasons that I'm okay with having it as outside of sub 2 until it gets really polished and I can bring it in for the group as a whole. So it's a mixture of people. Where are you from, Kevin? Are you from sub 2?
I'm Gator.
Okay.
Gator. And the other thing I was fascinated too is looking at some niches in this area. I know you were going to deal with the seniors.
Yep.
So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. I've got an interest in possibly the sober living. I happen to be a physician, so I maybe want to bring some of that in to work with some of the addictions and things like that. So but I am very, very fascinated. I don't know if I want to go pull a trigger on another program, but I'd be interested in joint venturing with some people. And, I want to do this in the Indianapolis market and possibly in the panhandle of Florida.
Okay. I will say that sober living and assisted living are a slightly different thing than co-living, because sober living and assisted living will usually have, depending on what state you're in, they can have licensing and stipulations that have to be met that are totally different than co-living. And they will often have more than one person per room. So my understanding is that sober living and which are called group homes, sober living and assisted living, because there are a group of people staying in each room. So there you can make a shitload of money because you're charging, thousands of dollars per bed. And if you have 3 beds per room, which is not uncommon, that's a different thing than co-living. In co-living, you're giving each person 1 bedroom. So, and people are not normally, they're able-minded and able-bodied. They don't require anything special other than the extras are truly extras. Like when I'm thinking of seniors, I'm thinking of people who are on this side of the assisted living. They don't require any help.
You don't want that.
And
Yeah.
they have no memory issues. So I would be, that's usually what happens, right?
Yep,
They may be
absolutely.
depressed because, if they've been living in their own
Lonely.
house and their partner passed, they may very well be depressed. But the concept is to bring them in before we're all going to go into assisted living unless we're lucky enough to, get hit by a car or something first, but before assisted living, you can enrich your life and live in a group of like-minded people who are, the whole concept is I'm going to coin this, guys. This is mine. Anybody takes it, I'll come and hit you. It's the last hurrah. Okay. Your partner has passed or you're divorced and you've got the money from the large house and the kids are going to get some money, but the kids are away at a distance from you. And the concept is spend some of that money to enrich your life. So seniors, in my opinion, maybe they want to do, I don't know, art. Okay, then let's set up some easels, bring in an artist to help us and do some art sessions. Or maybe they want to do hiking and go on, a level of hiking that would be cool for them. Okay, let's do that. If they want to have a masseuse come in, why not? It's just offering them additional services which would allow them to enrich their lives. And particularly travel, I intend to connect with agencies that focus to serve seniors and bring them in. They can talk to the group. If one or two people decide, oh, I'm going to go to Iceland. I've always wanted to go to Iceland. So this spring they're offering this, and we have one or two or three of the group go to Iceland. Great. The concept is to wake up every day and know that there's stuff happening. And what do you do well? You're a great cook. All right, show us your best recipe. Let's learn it. Or you're a great gardener. We'll have somebody do the digging and you tell us, what you think about what sort of things to plant. And we'll all each have our little garden. So the concept is to live life to the fullest. Get them out so they can volunteer in either churches or elementary schools, reading to kids, being involved so they don't kind of wither away on their own because depression takes its toll.
Would you use some of those things that you're sharing with right now as another revenue stream with referral fees and things like that, or have you thought about it that way? There wouldn't be a huge amount of volume.
I see it. I haven't thought about it in regards to me making more money necessarily. I'm thinking of it more as this is an a la carte program where you can enrich your life as much as you want. I mean, I want in my idea of senior co-living, it might even be better to start it from the ground up because I think everyone should have their own bathroom because when you get to that age, you don't want to have to share a bathroom. And I think that the living room, if it's a large living room, could be cut down somewhat, but not necessarily for an extra bedroom, but maybe for a reading room and a TV room so that it's a little separate. Or arts and crafts rooms, I think they're going to want, I want to offer services that are not going to be anywhere near as expensive as assisted living because you don't need that kind of assistance. What you need is community and options. And the idea is to bring them what they want. They can each bring in something. If one of them is, if I was in the house, in that particular house, I'd be going, who wants to learn this thing called the social media? If you want to learn social media, let's line up the computers and let's bring someone in who's going to be able to teach the basics so you can communicate with your grandkids or whatever. So whatever it is that you have, you can bring it in and the group can benefit. I don't know. Maybe it's not something people would be interested in, but I think there's a market because of how many people are each day are moving into the senior category. It's big. And I think that when they think about it, if it's modeled for them, if it's advertised and I plug in the right groups and they see it as an option, I think some people will choose it. And I'm only going to need, anywhere from 8 to 12 for a house or something. And then once that is done, I want to make it so that other people want to do the same thing in a different area or whatever, or do a second one or a third one. It's still new, but that's what I have going because I had this vision. I had this vision when I was living in Davis, California. And that was it's about 20 years ago. I just had this vision of where I was going to be living later in life. And, it was what is co-living with my friends, so, we'll find new friends and it doesn't have to be me. It's got to be, in each community, Beth, you had your hand up. Did you have a question?
So I don't know how to use this very well. I want to do a reaction and give you a thumbs up. I think that concept is fantastic, but while I have the speaker for a minute, my family actually owns a family type home. And they have for 12 years. So what would be really neat is to have a home that you're talking about and then the family type home as you can age into it if you need the 24-hour care. And they love it. They're fantastic at what they do. But I will say, if you do have any desire to get into a family type home, assisted living environment, regulations are very different county to county. And so they're in a county where max is 4 people. So that really hurt them. So, you know, the next one will be in a county or a state that you can have many more people to also make it.
Right. Right. And I
So.
do realize like that education would be an important aspect of my model, you know, of getting the assisted living options around that area and bringing them in to discuss what's, you know, what is there, because we know we're going to go there at some point. And of course, if, you know, Kathy falls and breaks a hip and never recovers, I mean, the idea is you come back to the house. You come back to the co-living space. But if you need assisted living for more, you know, like help for more than like 6 to 8 weeks, and it's going to be long-term, then you're going to need to look to that. And if Kathy's the first one that goes out to assisted living, you can bet that the rest of the house is going to be, well, Kathy, how is it? And she'll be like, oh, guys, it's great. When it's your time, come on over. Or she'll be like, get me out of here. You know, so it'll be a good way to inform them and also to get them ready for it. So it's not like, bam, something happened, now you're out. You know, I don't want that. I want for them to project that they're going to live an old age, and some of us may end up in assisted living. So, you know, that education will be part of it. But thank you, Beth. I'd love to talk with your parents if I end up in that space. But right now I don't have a desire to be in that. Kevin, did you have other questions?
No, that was it. That was very helpful, but I did learn how to raise my hand. You double click on the icon and there, see, I've learned something. So I think that
now you're clicking on the reactions hand. You know,
yeah, the
I'm
reaction
applauding.
icon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you go just below it, that's the raise my hand. Okay. So here I am,
Yeah.
teacher. And this one, yay, teacher. It's great. Look what Jimmy's doing.
So I feel like this has been so valuable because I've learned how to raise my hand. And no, this has been great. I've been really thinking about, so you would recommend that program, Sam's program? JV with people.
You've asked me a question that I need to have a conversation with Sam. Sam is growing very, very fast. I adore him. I adore him, and I want to make sure that everyone who joins the group actually gets everything and more. And I personally feel that Sam and I met for a reason, because I have had Pace's ear for a while, and I adore Pace, and I have learned and, you know, help Pace in every single way. And Sam is not a Pace. He's younger and he's less experienced in mentoring, but he has great experience in co-living. So I am working on tweaking some things, but he's the best I have found. And I'm would Sam join sub 2? No, but he wants to be introduced to Pace, and he wants to see if they can, you know, collaborate. And the TV stations are kind of working on that. Depends. And Pace has asked, you know, like, what do you think, F? I'm like, let me work on it. So to answer your question, he's the best I have found in co-living, and I really did research, and he's open-minded. So there are a few things I want him to tweak, and I see Carrie nodding her head.
Tweak as far as his system, or tweak is the way he's
mentoring,
presenting the mentoring.
Mentoring. Yeah, the systems he's got, he's king of all that.
The systems, yeah. Are you at their top level, or are you at the entry? Because I know they have a white glove
Yeah, no, I'm in the inner circle. It's a little over, well, if you finance it, a little over $30,000.
Yeah, oh, for a year you're in for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I bet you will have his ear. And
Yeah, I hope so. Because he's got my money. Anyhow, okay. And so let me put it to you this way again. He's the best I have found. I am hoping to make it even better. Because I have really high standards. You know, I don't know if there will ever come a time that I think it's okay to mentor for me to mentor. And I come from a teaching background because I have PACE as my standard and PACE.
yeah.
Anyhow, Cody, I'm going to say thank you, Kevin, very much. Come again.
Oh,
Come again. It's
we'll be
free and
here.
we can learn. Cody, so nice to see you, bro.
Hey, nice to see you too, Effie. Hey, thanks for putting this on. This is really helpful. I just want to say thank you to Jarrod. It's a lot of very useful information. I appreciate it. I have a question just about insurance. Like, what kind of insurance, what kind of policy you gonna have? And is there a carrier that you're using? Because what I'm coming up against, I'm converting an Airbnb to the co-living, but using the pad split platform over here in the Bay Area, Oakland, California. So I was curious about that.
Have you asked Pat Split on that?
I did. I reached out to their preferred guy, but he doesn't write policies in California.
Got it. Got it. Oh, that's an interesting question. Anyone have any response or answers to it?
I'm doing the umbrella and the landlord, or at least I plan on doing that for me.
Okay.
So in California, we're going through some issues right now too, because I'm buying a duplex and I can't get insurance. So I'm having to use the California Fair Plan. And in the next couple of days, I'll find out how bad that is. We have the same thing we have a cabin, and they've raised our rate over $5,000 in the last 2 years on the cabin. So it's not a pretty picture in California. I found out that there's for State Farm, they can only write policies for the first 10 days of a month, and they can't write policies anymore. So it's going to take a little bit of work. That's all, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Jim, when you have that figured out, maybe you could bring it to us.
Absolutely. It's we'll see how much fun it is. I wanted to mention something though, because when you were talking about, your kind of dream house, in our veteran houses, because we have a few guys that are older, and I say older is in their 80s. We have one right now who is in the process of pretty bad cancer. And so we're not sure how much longer he can stay in our place, but the VA hospital has brought in-home healthcare into our co-living environment. So that doesn't cost us anything, doesn't reflect anything on us. But it is, and I have reached out to various co-living not co-living, but in-home healthcare places, and they are very interested in working with somebody that has senior type housing.
Interesting. Interesting.
And then on the Kevin talked about drug and alcohol recovery stuff. I would say I would be careful there. I mean, I'm in California, so we have lots of rules and regulations, but so our cabin, when we purchased the cabin, we used it as drug and alcohol recovery. We had a group that came in here. There were 15 guys. I mean, this is a large place, and it worked out really well for the first 2.5 years. But on the third year, it kind of management issues, and it became a problem rental, let's just say. But if you were in town, and we're out, we're in the middle of nowhere really. If we were in Sacramento for that, they would require a use clause for the neighborhood. You would need licensing for more than 6 people. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And so trying to do something like that in a neighborhood, in this co-living type environment, I think you'd find yourself in a lot of red tape, no matter what city you're in. I mean, again, California is pretty tough, but I would imagine that would be the case just about anywhere.
Yeah, I received that. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Jennifer, nice to see you.
Hi, Effie. Hi, Jared.
Hey, Jennifer.
Can we talk about partnerships real quick and how to structure that stuff? I didn't get to watch.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
last
That's
night
funny.
because
All of a
working.
sudden we've got a, like, hey, anybody know how to go to the moon? And we're talking about how to go across the lake. No. That's okay.
I
That's
know.
okay. That's funny.
Well,
What
I
kind of
missed
questions
last
do you have?
night. I worked last night. I missed last night, but I watched Sam's, the all the rest of the days, and I know he was talking about like, raising, money and at the whatever 6 to 8%, and obviously I know that we raise higher than that. But what about private money partnerships instead of just private
What
money
about them?
partners?
Tell me
or
specifically
private
what
money
your
lenders?
question is so I can understand more.
I have a sub 2 and Gator student who I've been talking to for a while, and we just caught up yesterday, and I said, hey, I'm going to switch gears. I'm not going to focus on short-term living. I'm going to focus on co-living. And he had previously said he would partner with me on short-term living, and he's like, hey, I'll partner with you on co-living. Totally agree with your switch. So, I have the experience, I have time, he has the money. I know there's obviously we're in sub 2, so there is, the creative deals, but like Sam said, we can just obviously go on market as well. And I just didn't know how to structure all that.
Do you mean you're not sure how to structure the joint venture agreement, or do you
Well-
mean that you don't know whether you should go through creative financing versus traditional?
I guess like how much money, like a fair, partner, like the capital partner, what's fair for them to bring. If we need repairs, what percentage is a fair thing? And then if there is repairs, do we bring in a private money partner then, or private money lender for that stuff? Or, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how
Yeah.
to structure all that. What's
Yeah.
fair?
Well, the thing about sub 2, PACE's program is that it's extremely creative. It's extremely flexible. So I think that it depends very much on the specific deal. It very much depends on the partner and on what you're going to be doing. I have 2 joint venture agreements that I'm in the process of going through right now for 2 different students with 2 that would be, joint venturing on businesses. And I'm finding that they're very, very different. One's in Florida and one's in California, but they are very different. So it's a tough question to answer fully, but I think that what Melissa Palmer is doing in regards to due diligence is important, meaning you want to do as much, you want to speak and be as transparent with the person you're thinking of partnering with as much as possible. And you need to know each other fairly well. So I have been in now for 16 months, and I have a lot of relationships that go back that far. And I have a short list of, who would I consider for joint venturing? And I believe joint venture, partnership, dating and then partnership, which is what PACE says. And it takes a long time to get there, for me, and I'm not in a big hurry because I don't want to do things wrong. But, like Melissa says, if you're a homeowner and you're renting your property, you should be doing credit checks and background checks. Should be doing it. So then, wait, what do you do when you're talking to me and you've, known me for 6 months or a year, and we're talking about joint venturing? Well, if I'm going to do it for my tenants who are going to be in my house, I think we should do it. So I'm going to have myself vetted once she's up and going so that I can have that package, and I consider it a cost of business. So if you said, I want to work with you, and we've built a relationship where we have a common understanding, we kind of know each other's ethics and where we're coming from, then, my step will be, I think that's awesome if that's where I am. And to say, all right, so I think it's important we really check each other out because we're going into something more important than renting a place. So this is, my package. And if you want to have, let's say it's 5 months or a year old, you can pay to have it updated if you want. But here's the one that Melissa had done on me. And I would like for you to have one done on yourself, so that the person that that is coming in from as a money lender has done money lending before, and that that there is no red flags or anything that they're hiding in their background. And because I'm an open book, but even as an open book, why should you take my word for it? I think that the vetting concept will help a lot. Because when people are comfortable and they're like, yeah, we're going to do business together for sure. Okay, let's go. We're going to find out everything about each other. So then you're more likely to make sure you've disclosed anyhow. So I think that that's an important thing that hasn't really been touched on yet, because Mel, they're going to have the attorney generals of the 2 states come in, and Mel will be on stage at the same time. That's October 13th. I think after that, the mentorship will be changed quite a bit. And a lot of the things that I call snakes will be shown the door, so, and Jimmy says, I asked Mel for one already. Put in a good word for me, Effie. That's cute. See, you won't need.
I need help skipping the line, because I feel like her line is getting long,
very long. Yeah.
I asked her before she did the Pace Live thing, but I feel like it's too late now.
Yeah,
she's out there.
Yeah. I said to her, I will do it when it suits her, because I'm looking to support her in every way I can. And I know that long line puts pressure. So when she's cleared up, then I'll do it. But I get it. I totally understand. So I think that's one thing, Jennifer. But the whole concept of talking about things like, how will we end our relationship? Maybe if we're lucky and it's going to be death. Okay, what happens when one of us dies? I have an estate. I've got a couple of kids. Do you really want them to have control of your business? I would rather write it in right now that, there's going to be, you're going to have a certain period of time where you can pay out to my estate a pre-approved amount, that we're going to talk about percentage wise or dollar amount, and leave my kids out of it. What do you want? So talking about how to end things. What happens if you don't perform? If you don't perform and he's stuck without his money? Or what happens if he doesn't perform and you say, I need, 70,000 to get into it, and I'm going to need 100 to get it fixed, and I've got the contractors, this, that, the other thing. You get into it, and then he's like, oh, sorry, I don't have the money. You want to talk about as many contingencies as possible. And you want to talk about the uncomfortable things, not only death, but what happens if I can't stand to look at you anymore for whatever reason? How can we end it so that we're both going to walk away being glad we knew each other and professionally? And you're not all those what ifs that Pace talked about. And you're still not going to bring up everything, but I think it's a good way of approaching it. That's what I'm doing with the 2. And, all you can do is learn and move forward. But you do want to be careful, because sometimes people get wiped out of their money, because they've invested with the wrong person, or they get their dreams and their crushed and their time stolen. If it's the person who's bringing the boots on the ground sort of thing, and the operator. So yeah, just being as careful as you can, and doing it with as much time as possible so that you don't feel rushed.
Okay.
Yep. And that's a tough question you asked, but I think I might have touched on it. Anyone have any wisdom from experience or anything that they would like to add to that? I'm just really repeating what, I believe is right, and that I will do since Pace has brought it up.
The Bigger Pockets partnership book. I haven't read it, but I listened to their podcast, and one of the things that they bring up is, let's say you get all your stuff squared away in the beginning. What happens down the road when the roof collapses, or right, who pays for that, right? So you might think about not just the partnership contingency, but anything if you're dealing with property, which I assume you're talking about. What happens then? Who pays for it? Is it 50-50? Does the capital partner pay for it, or whatnot? And obviously there's insurance, but I'm just saying, if there's money to be paid, who does that?
Right. Right. And what happens if there are legal problems too? And it could be, that one of the partners did something that gave exposure to the LLC, to you as a group, but it was all them, like, I don't know, maybe they were blatantly racist or something like that. What happens? Or somebody, fell during your barbecue and got hurt, and they're going to sue you, and your partner might be at risk. What happens? So there's so many things to think on. It almost makes you not want to go. But I think if you just understand that it's really big, and you start slowly and you keep talking, you'll get to a point where you're like, okay, let's pass it over to the lawyers. I think we've got as much covered as we can, and let's run. So that's the way I look at it.
So do you think it's actually better to go private money lender versus private money partner? If I could raise money instead of bringing in a private money partner?
It
Yes.
depends. Oh, okay. So Jimmy, talk. Yes to what?
I mean, at the end of the day, if you could keep all your equity and just have a lender that works with the deal, why not? So it really comes down to your skill set of raising capital, and kind of where your financial situation is, right? But I've also recently been convincing myself almost to not 100% shut out private money partners if I can. So I was always opposed to it because the deal flow was so small. But now I'm starting to see a vision where I get a lot of deal flow, and I'm almost like, all right, I would rather give away 50% and do 100 deals than keep 100% of 10. So deal flow, I think, matters a lot. I also like how if you only get a deal a year, it's like, I want to keep that deal, but that's but when you are operating in abundance, then it's easier to bring people in, and you will find more money people that are willing to get equity, right? But if you could get it like Pace, for example, Pace is at a point where he doesn't have to. He has an abundance of money all around him. So for him, that's not even a thought. And he still does deals where whatever equity, I think he does it more for relationship purposes and just building friendships and partnerships and whatever, but he doesn't need to. So yeah. Those are my
And
3
it
cents
also
on it.
depends on who you're marketing to, Jennifer, because if you're speaking, if you're targeting doctors and dentists and, professionals like that, a lot of time they don't want to be involved. They just want a good return. And for them, maybe 12% is a good return. Whereas if you ask me for my money for 12%, I would try not to laugh, but, I would be like, no. So it depends on if they're coming from real estate or if they're coming from outside of real estate. What is their need? And in sub 2 and in Gator, there are and in the real estate field, there are a lot more who are interested in being involved, meaning they want to have a say, they want to learn and grow, and they want to get a bigger piece. So it depends.
I find that
situation.
I find that equity is a little bit overrated too, in the sense of a lot of people want to make money, but they want equity. But if you really become an equity partner, 9 times out of 10, you're going to make less than if you just lent the money. I've had plenty of deals where my lenders made more money than me monthly. I have deals that I've lost money. They never even found out. So I think if you're able to articulate what they're getting themselves into and just, hey, we could do a partnership. I would love to. I'll spread my risk. If we lose money, we lose money together.
Exactly.
Or do you prefer a 12% guaranteed? And I'm a man of my word. If I don't get it from this property, I have plenty of properties that I could pay you, and it's not an issue for me. So where do you want to be? And that's a way sometimes to even sell them on just being a lender. Because some people, equity sounds great, but they often prefer to get paid than having the equity.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
And
kind
also
of like, are you getting married or are you dating? You know, it's like, are you marriage material? Like partnership is a contract, right? And it's an ongoing contract. What if someone gets sick? What if you're the operator, you get sick? You know, what's your backup plan? You know, you're bound, you're beholden to your partner. Dating, you know, you go out to dinner, have some fun adventures, you know, you can go in and out, right? It's not contractually bound. So a little
exactly.
different.
Exactly. And as an individual who's who's looking for funding, the pressure of having to pay back needs to be there, because if you don't feel that pressure, you're not even going to care. And that's why people get ripped off. But if it ends up being that there are way more expensive problems than you expected, or your health goes down, how do you resolve that? You know, if, like Jimmy said, if you've got someone who's JVing with equity, then, you know, you're going to say, look, I went to the doctor and unfortunately this is what's going on. And as you can imagine, I might not be here next year. So we got to look at this. I think we're both going to lose different things maybe, but we got to figure this out. And it's kind of a little bit more, you should have your operating agreement, and in the agreement written up, how are you going to deal with these problems? So it's a different kind of pressure. Anyways, very interesting question. I wish I was Pace. Give me his brain. Anyways, and I know that mine has been very, very limited. Oh, all right. Hold on. Just a sec. It was pointed out to me that I should be taking a screenshot. I don't know. Hold on, guys. You can each take screenshots. It depends on the view. I think that everyone has control of their own view, right? Okay. And I don't even see myself. Where am I? Not that it matters, because I prefer not to. But anyhow, go ahead and feel free to take a screenshot and go ahead and post wherever you want. If you found some value out of this, you know, help Jarrod to do better in his, you know, journey by getting more attention and posting about it and helping him.
Thank you. Thank you, Effie, for having me on. Thanks for everybody for being here, asking questions and helping me along this journey.
Yeah, I thank you. All right, guys, I think we're probably at the end, a natural end. We went a little over an hour here, but that's okay. As long as there's things to learn, I'm all right. And I will, again, I'm going to collect the chat and start a email list, and I'll try to email everything out on Friday by like 5 p.m. EST, so that you will have the link. You don't have to search for it if you blink. I think that does make, I'll still post, but you know, that concept I think will help. All right, everyone. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Sayonara.